Welcome to the Prosperity Podcast for entrepreneurs who are ready to drop the hustle and earn more. I'm your host, Danielle Amos, business and success coach, certified Proctor Gallagher Institute consultant, and lifestyle entrepreneur. Each week, I'll bring you amazing entrepreneurs who have built wealth, harnessing the power of their mind. Prosperity and money are truly about energy, and I'm on a mission to help you create financial abundance through the power of thought. It's time we started normalizing conversations about money and create the wealth that is yours. Are you ready? Let's do this. Welcome to episode 135. This is Danielle Amos, and you are listening to the Prosperity Practice, the podcast that has you living your most abundant life. Today, I want to talk about prosperity and really this idea, can you really think and grow rich? This was a question that was asked to me, and we all know the Napoleon Hill book, Think and Grow Rich. And I was being interviewed, and the woman said, come on, do you really believe that people can just change the way they think and they attract wealth into their lives? They can just upgrade their identity, like you say, and all of a sudden there's money in their bank account. And I smiled, and instantly so many stories came onto the screen of my mind, not only my own story, but stories of clients who've applied this information to their lives. Now, you can read the book Think and Grow Rich, and hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions of people, have read that book, and not much has changed because they gained the knowledge. Even some people can repeat the words in the book, but they're not applying the principles to their life. And knowledge doesn't get you very far. Knowledge stays in the conscious mind, and the conscious mind is not what has us act. It's not what has us vibrating at. Your conscious mind, when we know something consciously, it just sits there. This is why people know how to close the sale and don't do it. They know not to eat the bread and go to the gym to lose weight, and yet they're still eating the bread and hitting snooze in the morning. They still have a goal to release weight. So knowing is not enough. It is the application of the principles. And when I say that, it's like embodying these ideas, walking with the beliefs. And what is so important to understand is that the masses, most of us, like 99%, 97 to 99% of the population has been programmed to think of lack, to constantly notice when something's wrong in the world, to notice when there's not enough, to fear that there's not enough, and really have this lack mindset. And this idea that we have limited amount of money, that there's limited amount of things, and that our world is conditional. But it's not true. There's unconditional love. There's unlimited amounts of money. And just because money must be kept in circulation, and therefore there's infinite amount. And the money that I earn doesn't take away from something else. There's someone else. There's no such thing as competition. There's only creation. And each one of us were created by the Creator, our God, the universe, in the likeness of the Creator, meaning that the Creator creates, and we're here to do that job, to create our own life by using our mental faculties, our mind. That's why we were given our mental faculties, our imagination, our will, our perception, our reasoning muscle, our intuition, our memory. We were given these muscles in order to create. And this is what manifestation is. Manifestation is the movement of an idea, a thought, a dream in someone's mind, and the transmutation of that idea energy into the physical form. And that only happens through the human being. We're manifestors, we're creators. That's what we're here to do. We're not here to settle. But because this is not something that we're taught in school, and because the majority of the population was raised to think that there's not enough and it's competition, and well, we've got to unlearn that. We've got to unlearn and let go of these beliefs that we were told about money and how the world works. It's just not true. And so, do I believe that you can think and grow rich? Absolutely. I don't only think that, I believe it. I know it in every cell of my body. And I also know this: it does not matter where you've come from. It does not matter what you've achieved in your past. It does not matter where you live right now. The education that you have or do not have, none of it matters. The only thing you need, two things, is desire for the money, desire for more. Desire is good. And the second is willingness. The willingness to be coachable, to do exactly what I tell you to do. My mentor said, you can have anything you want. You just have to do what I say. That was Mr. Bob Proctor. And I took that very seriously. I listened and I applied, and I learned from the application, because it wasn't always clear to me how I apply these principles. So I used trial and error. And that's really interesting, because now I'm studying human design, and I found out, like, I have the 3 line, and that's like what we do. We trial and error things and we learn from it. And then I teach others how to apply it, and I learn from how they apply it. And so now there's a system, a foolproof system. You've got to do the thinking, though. I can't do the thinking for you. No one else can do it. And if you're willing to change the way that you've been thinking, to understand that perhaps your way doesn't work, at least not if it's not working as well as what it could if you aren't attracting millions into your life. Now, it's a pretty simple thing. However, as humans, we sort of complicate it. So I like to bring it back to the basics. I like to keep things really, really simple. You can absolutely think and grow rich. And the most important beliefs that I believe need to change, not only about money, that's, I can list all of those and you can apply them. That's quite easy. I do that in one of our programs, Money Manifestor and Prosperity Codes. Those programs are great, and you can, live according to these beliefs and try them on for yourself and test them out. I find that the deep work, the most important shifts, actually are about how you think about you, how you perceive yourself. Most of us are so hard on ourselves, and we judge ourselves and we judge others, but mainly we judge ourselves. And if you knew really the truth of who you are, that there is perfection within, and that you already possess all the talents and abilities that you require to live your best life, it's just allowing them to be developed. And as they are developing, go easy on yourself, be kind with yourself. Like, think about a baby learning to walk, a young child learning to walk, and that baby falls down. Do you yell at the baby when it falls down? Like, how dare you? No, you give the baby grace. You cheer the baby on. You clap for the baby. Do that for yourself, because we are in a process of never-ending growth and evolution in this life. We're constantly growing. We're constantly learning. It's not about perfection or a finish line. We get to learn and try again and adapt, and learn and try again and adapt. And I really, for myself, changed this point of view for me. And I used an affirmation that really helped me. And it was, I do my best and my best is good enough. I do my best and my best is good enough. And my best changes day to day. My best changes because on the nights where I'm up with my daughter because she's not feeling well and I've had an hour's sleep, the podcast that I record may not be as good as when I'm, well rested and just had a spa day. Yet it's still my best. And I still show up for you, for myself, for the world. So think about this, because it's often the compounding feeling that takes us, that does the damage. It's because we're in our minds beating ourselves up about how we just did that thing or went live or posted this thing and it wasn't perfect. And so then we spend the rest of our day, I could have done better. I should have done better. And that word should is shame. And the feeling of shame is such a negative vibration, and it kinks your money hose. It just brings you more things to be shaming yourself about. And think about it. It's compounding in your mind, and whatever energy you feed and focus on, it grows, and nothing good can be created out of that energy. It just can't. So there is always room for improvement. There is always room for us being better. And we do that when we do our best and we find our edges and we lean into where we resist, and we get the coaching and mentorship and take the courses that help us lean into those edges. And while you do it, be kind to yourself, love on yourself, just like you're a baby learning to walk. Cheer yourself on and surround yourself with others cheering you on. Now, this is an interesting thing because it comes up a lot in our community, because we have a high standard level, like we hold you to account. We have accountability measures and we ask you to keep your word. And it's not a problem when you don't. It's not wrong. It's that we remind you so that you're not going back and letting yourself off the hook. You're trying your best. You're doing your best. And we acknowledge the best. And we communicate about doing your best. And you find your edge. Rather than go and shrink and do what you've always done and hide, we remind you of who you are. And we see you with your goal-achieved self. And so we encourage you to keep yourself in that zone of where you're uncomfortable and still excited. And all the while you're kind to yourself. You're empowering yourself, and we are empowering you because we know that you can persist to keep on going. So there's this fine balance. There's this tightrope walk. Here's one of those another tightrope analogies where you've got to be honest with yourself. To thine own self be true, like Hamlet says, Shakespeare and Hamlet says, to thine own self be true. You know when you're letting yourself off the hook versus you doing your best and finding your edge and being kind to yourself. So that's the edge we're looking for. You're not going to let yourself off the hook, and you're leaning into resistance, and you're getting better and better every single day. And we've got ways that you get better through study, through masterminding. Ideas come and you apply and you learn from that. And we fully support you in that. So I bring that up because you're not meant to do it alone. No great leader is doing it alone. Every coach has a coach. Every mentor has a mentor. Every Olympic athlete has multiple coaches. Do you have a coach? Do you have a community that believes in you? If not, this is your time. You're invited. Join the Success Society. There's different levels, memberships, courses, programs you can take. There is really something for everyone. So there is no reason not to be surrounded by people who only see you as your goal achieved. Through this community, we collapse time. I want to share a quick story before we wrap here. because at the beginning of this podcast, I shared how the woman asked me, can you really think and grow rich? And I shared with you that all these stories flooded into my mind. And I want to share one in particular. Well, I feel like I could share so many. Gosh, but this one woman, she came to me, and I met her through my husband. She was a single mom of a teenage boy. We're going to call her Lulu. Lulu came to me. She didn't have the money to join our program. The deposit at the time was $995. She had just been evicted from her home, and she was living in her car with her son. She listened to me speak. I was a speaker at an event, and she knew that she had to join our program. She resonated with the way that I explained universal laws. And so that may be you. So know when you found your teacher, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And she came to me, and I said, well, when there's a will, there's a way, and sit with it. Decide first, and the way will be shown. She said, I'm in. Give me 48 hours. She came back to me, and she had borrowed 3 credit cards to put the deposit down from 3 friends, a family member and friends. And at the same time, she asked a friend of hers if her and her son could sleep on her couch. They were in an apartment. And the friend said yes, but it was temporary. And Lou, to be honest, I was like, oh my gosh, like she's putting everything on the hook. She doesn't even have a place to live, and she's borrowing money for our program. And I asked her, I said, this is awesome. When there's a will, there's a way. And at the same time, you've got to be completely coachable. Now, we guarantee our program. I will guarantee your investment. I know that you'll at least double your investment. If not, I'll pay you double than what you paid me. And this is for our signature programs because we've tested it. The Proctor Gallagher Institute has tested it, and I have no problem guaranteeing it. As long as you do what I say, it works. So I said this to Lulu, and she was all in. She said, I'm at the bottom. Like, I have nothing to lose but to go all in. So she paid the deposit. And on our very first call, she shared with me her goal. And I could tell that she didn't believe that she could achieve it, that there was beliefs in her. Like, she believed other people could have it, but she didn't believe it. And so the beginning of the work was all self-image. It was all identity work. And she dove into that lesson. I had her start there. And this is exactly what we're doing in reclamation right now, reclaiming the truth of who you are, your identity, and calibrating that to that so that you can have the life you want. So Lulu did this. And it wasn't long while she was in the program. Now, Lulu worked at a factory, and the factory job had, she wanted more money, but she's like, the factory doesn't give raises. The last time it gave a raise was when the government increased minimum wage. So I have a job, how else am I going to get more money? And I said, money doesn't come from the job. It comes through the job. You focus on doing your absolute best and you being your goal achieved self in your current environment, and your circumstances change. So she listened. She stepped into her goal achieved identity, just like I taught her to, and she showed up as that person at work. Before long, Lulu was the most effective person in that factory, so much so that the boss came and watched her, wanted to know how she was producing more units than anyone else in that entire factory. She learned how to become more effective with the time she had. She developed new systems for the line. They asked her to come in and train the evening shift. She did that. She received a bonus. She then created a manual to train all other employees on the same machine throughout the factory. They paid her a bonus. She then created a program to have the employees come through so that it didn't matter what machine they were on, they learned to become more effective. And together they increased production at that factory over 25% in just a few weeks. Lulu was earning more money. She was promoted to a different role, a role that they created for her. Not only did that happen, she got her own apartment for her and her son. Her son started studying this material at 13 years of age. He started a store on Amazon and started collecting a paycheck himself. By 15, this young man was bringing in thousands of dollars, all the while Lulu was earning more and more money, not only through her factory job, but she had set up other sources of income. By the end of the year, Lulu had enough money to purchase her home for her and her son. I got a message 2 years later that she sold that home for $400,000 in profit. I share this with you because when I'm asked, can you think and grow rich? I absolutely know that you think and grow rich. If this resonates, send me a message. It doesn't matter where you've come from. It doesn't matter your past circumstances. My only question is, do you want it? And are you willing to do what it takes? This is Danielle Amos. It's been my pleasure. Expect abundance.